Today we are joined by two amazing guests from one of the cruise pioneers in our sphere. We have with us Njål Sævik, who is the chair of Havila Holdings and co-owner of Havila Group, and Bent Martini, the CEO of Havila Voyages. And today we're going to dive deep into how a family-owned group is truly bringing their values into life with a broad range of initiatives in the maritime sector and including a true pioneer on more sustainable cruise expeditions. So welcome Njål and Bent. Nice to have you with me.
Thank you.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
And we are here with you today to talk about your pioneer commitment. We have listed some of your initiatives in Havila Voyages among our global overview of cruise pioneers. And we are super eager to hear a little bit more from you guys personally about your high-level targets for emission-free and waste-free cruise and how you are building the competitive edge for a future-proof industry with your initiatives. And of course, here we're talking about real action, not including carbon credits. And we know that you have done a lot. We are really looking forward to hear first from you, Njål. You are the second generation owner of Havila and hands-on in the operations. And I would love to hear and share with our audience how your father, Per, and your own family values and your personal story and background has been embedded both when you started building up Havila way back and also how it's implemented into the current journey of the group as a whole today.
Thank you, Birgit. We're coming from a small place on the west coast of Norway and started with fisheries back, or my granddad started with fisheries back in the 40s together with some friends. Family was in fisheries until 81, then my father and one of my uncles went into offshore. And developed companies, or we are now an offshore company number 4, and also have, diversified into other prospects. But I think one of the reasons that Havila Group are where it is today is that you use what I used to say, the fisherman culture. You're eager to new technology, you're eager to find opportunities, and you need to, to work hard to get success and find the solutions. And today, the Havila Holdings values is for progress and prosperity. Administer what you have been create over generation, refine and create new values, establish rewarding jobs and build communities. And those values we try to use in the whole group, in all the businesses. And also, with that, it's always looking for new things to do that you also haven't done before. So the last addition in the group is actually our biogas plant, which was opened in November this year. So that's nothing with the maritime to do, but it's something that someone we know have an idea and an opportunity which we jumped on. And that also I can bring back to my father. And when he was a child, he was 6 years old, when my grandma didn't find him one day, and the rowboat was gone from where it was staying. In the afternoon, he came back. Of course, they were seeking and was asking everyone if someone had seen him. But what he did as a 6-year-old guy, he took this rowboat, crossed the fjord to the small city, close to the island we live, which is 1 nautical mile, 1,852 meters. So when he came back, I know the boat towed him back, but when he came back, my grandma asked me, "Why did you do it?" "I just want to see if I could make it." And I think that's something which is very describable also for the group.
That's an amazing story. And it's also, I think it's very well connected to basically the cruise innovators we work with. I mean, it's truly the entrepreneurial spirit being kept alive in many different ways, all the way from him as a 6-year-old and to where you are today. And Bent, I wondered. I mean, you have a strong leader career in the maritime, and how is it coming into a family-owned company like Havila with very committed and engaged owners, and then bringing your own values and heart causes really into the journey of Havila Voyages?
To be frank, I think it was not very difficult for me to actually fall into the kind of the thoughts and the values and the ability to create, willingness to create, willingness to actually deliver something that actually gives something back to the one thing is to the nature and the commitment to the nature and the people involved in the company, because having a kind of committed owners understanding what you really are doing, not only the financial instrument but also kind of into the operations. That's so fantastic for all actually working in Havila Voyages, is having owners that really do understand the business and do understand what it means to actually create and build up such a company. Yeah.
And can you tell me, Bent, what are the key ambitions and targets for Havila Voyage, just to explain that to our listeners and viewers out there, when it comes to moving us towards an emission-free and waste-free future?
Yeah, I think the only actually two sentences that Per Sævik and the family actually gave me when I started this is Per have said that we are sailing in the World Heritage, so should the generation to come be able to do. Meaning that we have a we have we have a task to actually, whatever we are doing, we should do it and take care of the nature. And looking at one thing is to build vessels, believing in technology, choosing technology. That is something, of course, extremely difficult when you are investing $400-500 million in building vessels. Looking 10 years ahead, what really will be the technology out there, and how should you do that? And then you also have to invest in the people. You have to build up the people and create kind of the DNA in a company that actually should move the company forward. Should you be able to do that, everyone needs to believe, and it starts with the top. The owners need to be committed, and we in the management need to be committed. And then, as long as we walk the talk, we actually will be able to deliver something. And with the ambitions this company have, with the owners' support, of course, we have moved this industry far what it comes to kind of the technology on the environmental side is one thing, but also the concepts we are operating on board with food waste, focus on reducing the food waste, circular economy in all aspects of the operations. That's extremely important for us. So whatever we are doing should start with the ambitions of sustainable operation, and that is supported by the owners. And I have a slogan, and that is try a little, learn a lot, because try it out. Don't wait to get kind of instructions or whatever, because those that people that are working on board the vessels, they are out there every day. They see solutions. Try it out and share. Learn from it. Share. Don't be afraid to do small errors. That's okay, because that's the only way we can learn. And if you look at all the aspects of operating such vessels, having unique ambitions in moving forward, then we will do errors, but we have to learn from it and share, and then we will just grow and develop together. So for me, coming from many years in the deep sea, where we also have a fantastic focus on safety and environmental side, coming into this, being allowed to actually grow together with everyone else, supported by a family with a fantastic ambition, and their legacy is, I think, will be that they were those that actually moved this industry with their investments and their belief in sustainable operations.
Thank you, Bent. And Njål, I mean, this is, I think, really great to listen how Bent describes your group and the family ownership in this. And I mean, you're quite new on the coastal route and this more like the expedition cruise operations. But as I recall, this builds into a more holistic approach on working towards an emission-free, waste-free industry. And can you share a little bit more with us? Because I mean, Havila Voyages is more kind of one part of sort of an ecosystem of operations and solutions and companies within your group. Can you talk a little bit more about what else is it that your group has its fingers and ambitions into in order to drive this green transition for all of us?
Of course, it started actually with offshore, which offshore vessel now is also working in renewables. So, but it started there with driving forces, and also I would say a booming time from 07 until 12, where you did a lot of the easy things technology-wise and also human-wise. We was also looking to sitting on as a majority shareholder in a ferry company, which was sold last year. It then had more or less 80 ferries, where from 2013 till we sold, half of them was being electrical. So then also when we decided and was lucky enough to be able to do the Havila Voyages, of course you try to use the knowledge you have learned, the technology, and develop that into those. And of course our knowledge is about about operating in ships. So we felt we had control there, and we was willing and eager to use the 2018 technology to be the best in that, because that's also something you learn. And a little bit back again to the fisherman culture, and also what you have seen when the offshore was booming. I'm not sure if all projects that have been realized are really fitted into Excel sheets, because as long as you believe in technology, you are willing to put some money into it and take the risk that it will work, because you know that it will give you an advantage if it does. And that, of course, in combined with a lot of majority suppliers, which are also on the same foot, give an advantage. And that's something from our perspective is very important to be successful in business. But of course, the most important thing, that's people. It's always down to people. And that's from the top to the last man. And there I think we have a culture which is very good. As Bent say, give input, do things, and not even do mistakes. But because everyone do mistakes, small and big, but learn from your mistakes. That's also more or less a saying we have in our group, in all the companies. That do things. It's much better to do things and don't do it wrong than sit there and do nothing and hope it's go in the direction you want it to do. So, and of course, then you need to also, when you move into things you don't know anything about, or more or less do not anything about, you also need to connect with people that can give you the knowledge and be supportive to you. And of course, we also own 3 hotels. So you can say, but it's different to run a hotel in Geiranger to do it on a ship visiting the Geiranger Fjord. But we try to put the knowledge together in the whole group and use it where it can be used, and let everyone know what's going on, and also as much as possible, and also let the other companies, even those you don't think have any knowledge to get out from Voyages, but if they know that is going on, maybe someone that you haven't thought about can say, oh, not the full picture of that, but a small part of it I can use in my business to do it better or more environmental friendly. So it's about combination available technology and knowledge, and also try to seek for new things to do it better and more environmental friendly. That's a little bit in our bone, to use that word on it.
Yeah, and you have, of course, you have had a very interesting first mover initiative on batteries with, I think, Corvus. And I hear word on the street says that you do a lot focus also on the hydrogen value chain. Can you talk a little bit more about your path basically in Havila towards the green transition?
Yeah, the battery was obvious because that was available and something that you could do. And when the vessels was delivered, that was the largest battery pack in the world. But we also saw that when this was done, there was several other technologies being discussed as the green future for fuel. Amongst those, hydrogen. So Hav Design, together with Sintef, got a pilot to develop a hydrogen project on the Havila Voyages vessel, which is now done, and so in place also can be done. But as always, it's two things with moving into new things like that. And that's one thing is the technology and be able to do it on the ship. And the second thing is the infrastructure. Get availability of hydrogen, get acceptance for it with authorities, customers, everyone else involved. And of course it's down to financials. And we also today, as long as there are enough biogas available, we can change that tomorrow. We can start using biogas and then more or less be CO2 emission free or emission neutral. But of course that costs extra money, and as long someone need to take that extra cost, and we have said that we can take some of it and also challenge others to be part to develop that, but we haven't been successful so far on that.
Thank you, and that brings us really into the kind of next stage. I mean, because you have very strong and bold and clear commitments, and I'm very curious to hear about like the progress that you're making. Where are you ahead of your targets? And where is it, in which areas is it that you really experience the most challenging bottlenecks when it comes to delivering on the group and the Havila Voyages ambitions and commitments? Do you have some good examples?
I think if we start with the Havila Voyages, I think we are a little bit ahead of schedule on the total picture. Some is above. Bent can maybe say more in details about it. The offshore renewable side of things, we are more or less on target, we have set internally. But again, we did a lot of, the easy things until 2018, 2020. So now it's real hard work to do. And it's hard work and day-to-day work. We have was early out to optimize to get control of fuel consumption and all these things, and also a system that we can follow that on an hour-by-hour basis at office if we want to. And but it's much down to the small things, down to people and how you do things on board and do it a little bit smarter. And then a challenge on the offshore renewable side is that you see that vessels working in the North Sea, you have high acceptance and a target together with your clients. But when you get outside the North Sea, it's different rules and ambitions on this. And as long as then your client is deciding the operation, and if it's safe to run with 4 or 6 engines, it's not only down to us. So that's another perspective you need to take into consideration. We have seen on the Havila Voyages vessels that when people start learning the vessels, LNG consumption have been going down quite rapidly from the start. All these other things which have been targeted have more or less been met, all of them, I think. And then it's, of course, down to start to be more ambitious and stretch it a little bit longer than you had as a plan in the beginning. But for the group, we on the vessel side, we are following the ambitions which both the Ship Owners Association have and most of the other shipping companies today have. But we probably see that the 2030 targets, they will be hard to reach, especially on the offshore side. Because some of those things that was thought going to happen when you set as ambitions 2021, 22 haven't happened.
Thank you. And Bent, on your side, more in depth into voyages, you have, I think, ships that are hydrogen ready, so to say. Where do you have bottlenecks, and what has really been the challenges operational?
Yeah, we have, as also mentioned by Njål, followed the project actually since 2018, which we paused last year. That is developing concept with running these vessels on hydrogen, and the vessels are prepared for running on hydrogen. And we also have a pre-approval from the Norwegian Maritime Directorate and the DNV as a class society to do that. So whether we can do hydrogen, we can do ammonia. I think the big question is rather what will be the requirements or the regulations by the Norwegian government in the next concession along if you look at the coastal route, because the cost of hydrogen versus LNG or biogas is much higher. So the starting point there is how do you actually commercialize hydrogen in this business. We have a great cooperation with companies now. Actually have been they have received money from the Norwegian government or by Enova to invest in hydrogen plants. So we have kind of a very good solution if you look at the distribution of hydrogen without kind of having to invest in infrastructure for the Norwegian government. So we can actually be self-supported along the Norwegian coast by with hydrogen, meaning that we can save 0 emission along the Norwegian coast. Our vessels are prepared. We can sail with biogas today. In combination with the battery packages, we are climate neutral. We have reduced the CO2 by 35 to 40% up to now, compared to the figures or the requirements in the contract with the government. That's compared to similar vessels running on diesel. So we have done a lot so far, but our ambitions is that we by 2028 should be climate neutral, meaning that we will start blending in biogas already next year. And then by 2028 be climate neutral, and by 2030 zero emission ready. Meaning that when we enter into the new concession, if the Norwegian government put that as a requirement, we are already ready to sail these vessels zero emission. And we also have other projects running now, meaning that we can catch the CO2 in the LNG. That is also a potential for us to continue running on LNG, but we will catch the CO2 and methane, and then we are zero emission also on that in that respect. So, meaning that we are working with different technologies and prepared actually for different technologies with the vessels we have today. So when where I see that all others, they are just talking about the challenges and the troubles. We have the solutions. We are ready, and we will also by 2030 triple the capacity on the battery packages. The technology of batteries are extremely positive, developing fast. So compared to 2021, when we got delivered the biggest battery package in the world, 6.1 megawatt on board such a vessel, in 2030, or actually tomorrow, we could have this tripled at the same weight. Yeah. So in 2030, at least triple, maybe higher capacity. So I think if you look at the bottlenecks, that is, I think the regulators, they need to really deliver on the ambitions. You cannot just, like they did with the World Heritage Fjords in Norway, just change regulations because someone is complaining. Someone is not doing their job. We were ready. We sailed the World Heritage Fjords on zero emission already 4 years ahead of 2026, which was the ambitions for the Norwegian government. Now they have changed that to 2032, which is crazy. It's a scandal. If you look at the, you cannot blame the technology. The technology is there. This is more kind of the willingness for those out there to invest and do their job.
And that's so interesting. I think as we are having a very clear target with Cruise Pioneers podcast of also reaching out to the outside world and talents that are eager to be part of changing society. I mean, it's quite ironic that we actually see this amazing case where business is ready and waiting for the government. So I think this is also a huge opportunity for any young listeners out there, the talents, make your voices heard and actually get out there towards our politicians and those that are making the decisions in society as well. I think this is really, the a huge growth now of young people who wants to work with creating a green footprint and spending their lives being part of solving huge challenges. And I think, one thing is that the industries and the business sector says that we are ready to go. But I think then the young generation can also make a huge impact towards their politicians in pushing them on standing firmly and committed to what they have set out for. And I also then wondered, because of course you are working with very complex issues, and I think moving us towards 2030, of course, the hot potato and the hot topic out there all over cruise and in the maritime sector is really also, how can we capture carbon? How can we find solutions and implement solutions on existing fleet and ships that will enable us to take down emissions while we are waiting for the new and completely clean technologies? And that really brings us into the topic of power couples that this series is really all about. We dive into this power couple dynamics where one larger player targets is the other smaller actor's business case across the value chain. And it was just mentioned that you worked with Corvus on batteries, with Hav Design on the fuel cells. Do you have other good cases where the group has worked proactively with entrepreneurs and smaller innovators in really moving your actions and the progress in the group in a different way, because you work in the mix of corporate startup, corporate innovator, that you could share with our audience? Njål, I'd like to start with you.
Yeah, we have a lot of small and larger projects going on all the time, and try to develop, and it's also a little bit about using the small things, like cleaning hulls, which now we are doing on both offshore vessels and on the Tustrud or the Voyages vessels, which give you some percentages if you do it regularly on fuel consumption. So there is an agreement in place to use one small companies with robots cleaning the hulls now and then. And it's also so it's a combination of doing these small things together with the larger things that you're going to do tomorrow. And as I also probably said before, achieve to take the small things today and then also work with the largest things that need to be done for the new tender, or to do tomorrow, or if you're going to do a new build in the subsea renewable side of things. And then it's a little bit down to if you going to push on that button 6 months from now or 12 months from now, what technology is available already, and what do you think would be available during the building period, which you can build, and what can you prepare for delivery further forward. So excuse me. So it's all about have these dialogues with various parties and be open to also change that if you start a route and after 12 months or 18 months find out it's probably not what it's going to be, because a competitor or a similar product but it's much better have come up. You also need to be able to say, okay, sorry, it was very nice to work with you and your idea as a grundler, but unfortunately there was someone else with much better things. And of course it's also been more challenging in the past, because everything is changing faster on a general basis, also on new technology. And I also think we, as a maritime industry, have a lot to learn to start using AI and other things that we don't know much about, but should learn us how to use it in our business, with focus on how to use it, not to revolution the world, but how can we use that to optimize our operations, be even more environmental friendly, and all these things. Because the maritime industry is normally quite conservative, and we try to be one of those which is not conservative, but there are things that I don't know a lot about that I think we need to, in one way or another, try to bring into our group to use, to make us even more innovative than we are today.
Yeah, and Bent, do you have some good examples of where there were clear advantages of strengthening your own kind of superpower on new innovations by working with entrepreneurs and smaller innovators? Do you have some good cases there?
Yeah, maybe one of the things I'm really proud of is if you look at sustainable operations and our focus on food waste, where we partnered up with one of the kind of high standing chefs in Norway. He was a trainer for the Olympic Games or Olympic team in making food. And the task was food waste, reduce food waste, but keep the high standard of the food. And we ended up with kind of the concept we have today, where people feel that this is just coming into a high standing fine dining, and still we have reduced with only our 4 vessels. We have reducing the food waste by 70 tons a year. It's compared to the same type of operation on this route. And that is fantastic, which is the best restaurants in the world are not able to do that. So this is something, fantastic as I see it. And operating these vessels, like yes, you have a hotel, you have a passenger ferry, you have cargo vessel. Because this is a very complex operation, so to speak. And whatever we are talking about when it comes to environmental issues, operating vessels, that's about energy and consuming energy. And a huge hotel. This is 4 of the biggest hotels in Norway, sailing along the Norwegian Fjords. And so all consumers on board we need to have control of. Everyone working on board the vessel needs to have kind of a focus on using the energy. But in order to help them, we need to have an integrator. How do you actually have control of all consumers? How do you help each and one and the management on board to actually govern this? And then we have a company in Norway, Norwegian Electric Systems, that actually took that kind of challenge to integrate, to develop the integrator. And that is, I don't think anyone have done that before, because if you look at all the makers out there, they would like to own their kind of integrator themselves. But on our vessels, Norwegian Electric Systems have the overall control as an integrator, meaning that we have control. And that is a small company in Norway actually doing that. And I think that is something, of course, helping us a lot, but also if you look at the small company in Norway developing this, enable also them to go out in the world actually to help others out there. And I know that, yeah.
So would you say this gives a cruise ship kind of smart house capabilities?
Absolutely, that's the correct wording. That's a smart house capability, and it is not necessarily that huge investments, but you need to do it. You need to dare to do it. And if you look at all the vessels out there, if they really focus on the consumers on board a vessel, there's a lot of money to save. But it will have a huge impact on the environmental issues and reducing the emissions. So but I think it's a fight internally with a lot of the big makers. They need to actually accept that someone needs to be the integrator and really, in order for us to get control of energy consumption, we need help, and that is one of the big issues. My concerns when we also when in other companies I worked is that how do you actually get control? And I can say that we have control, but we can develop it even further, and that is what we are doing every day. So last year. First half last year, we reduced the consumption with the vessels with 18%, 18%. just in working with the crew, working with the people on board, in how to actually optimize.
Wow.
So, and that is extremely, and I wouldn't say that we, before we started on that project, was bad, but after the project, maybe we were bad, but it's a, but it creates kind of a huge motivation for the people on board. It's a kind of a healthy competition. It's a healthy, they're discussing with each other, vessel to vessel, shift to shift, and they really, they're very focused on this. And then of course in all aspects on board, when you are running the vessel into the World Heritage Fjords or all other ports and areas where we are sailing with zero emission, of course everyone understand what to do. If you are a chef, you know that you need to have finished the meals before you enter the World Heritage Fjord, because suddenly you will not have any any energy in the galley.
Exactly.
So it's yeah.
And so when we kind of basically visually move into the heritage fjords, I mean, now we've been talking about the food waste programs, the energy, the whole green transition. I wanted to hear from you about your unresolved pain points. So I asked you to share with us and the audience one additional area where you have commitments and where you are interested in partnering up with entrepreneurs to power couple for radical solutions. And then I'm looking, more towards what other pollution into the fjords that can be avoided, and also the part of kind of the local footprint, the experience and the integration and the involvement with the local communities, the very small communities that you visit en route. Njål, I can start with you if you have some parts.
Oh, yeah. I forgot a little bit that one.
Yeah,
but,
the tricky one.
but of course, it's as I say, and also we have in our values. Communities is important for us, and when we have it in our values, it's more or less the community where we are born and based and everything. But of course, on the Havila Voyages, you are visiting so many ports. There are so many suppliers, people that get a living of what you are doing, and that's also for the group. Local suppliers, local people. We want to involve the communities around the coast, because this is not only about for us earning money or be the best in class. It's about the Norwegian community and the coastal community, and also with everything going on in the world at the moment and the geopolitical situation. This is important as well, that on the Havila Voyages vessels, that they are following on and look into things that is not normal, especially up north, but it's going on all around the coast. So we are there to be a facilitator to develop the small communities around the coast with our businesses and give people opportunities to make business on our business. And that's important for us, and also as I said, a part of the value, because that's how we have developed the community where we are based. I have said in several times that when you from 2010 to 2014, you built a hotel, concert hall, and a large swimming pool area with several pools for, at that stage, approx 450 million in a community where there are living around 10,000 people. If you ask a hedge fund guy in London or New York if that's reasonable spent money, they will say you are crazy. But that was done together with the commune and the business development. So we are in a bone that we need to develop the societies that we are part of, to give it and let it be an attractive place to live. And that's also something we have, I would say, after we went into Voyage, try to develop on all these places you are visiting around the coast. And then maybe Bent can give some more color on it.
Yeah, thank you. And Ben, I heard some rumors that you are in a progress of sort of reinventing your Eco Voyager program. Can you elaborate on how can this bring opportunities for various type of entrepreneurs in the value chain? And, what are the typical examples of innovators and entrepreneurs that would be in your scope along the coast?
Yeah, of course, the Havila Voyages, or the coastal route, is a part of the kind of Norwegian critical infrastructure. But like visiting 34 ports from Bergen to Kirkenes and 33 ports back, we are always there. If you look at the Havila Voyages, we have about 600 employees, but we are creating additional 3,000 employees along the Norwegian coast, in the local communities, meaning that what we are consuming on board, the food we are buying locally, so we are creating value locally. And if you look at and of course that's about having focus on kind of the short distance delivery of food, but creating value locally is extremely important for us. With the concepts we have, with the food focus, that creates also new opportunities for the local if it's a small farm or whatever, fish farm, they will kind of also change their way of operating when we are talking about sustainable operations. Whether it's excursions ashore, we have about 70 excursions along the coast. Those delivering those excursions have to deliver those in a sustainable way. And that's about our Eco Voyager program also. When you are traveling with us, the excursions you should do, which we present to the guests, of course, they need to be green also. For example, if you look at different kind of if it's buses, they could be ATVs or whatever they are using on the excursions. They are not kind of run by diesel or gas. They are run by electrification or biogas. So that's kind of a part of it. And of course, we are working together with those locally to develop new type of products, whether that is products that we keep on board, sell on board, or they provide for us ashore when our guests are coming ashore. So the point here is that we would like our guests to be very much aware of what kind of local community are you visiting? What can you do when you're going ashore? What should you have focus on also when it comes to the taking care of the local environment? And how can we put value back to the local societies when our guests are there? So we have to kind of give back when we are sailing along the Norwegian coast, whether that is to have some guests or our crew ashore to clean the shoreline. That's of course concepts we are doing, but most of all, when people are there, they need to understand the locals, and the locals kind of have to feel that they're getting something back when we are doing this. But it takes time to actually build this up, and that will be the main focus going forward now on the Eco Voyager program. From whatever you are doing on board as a guest, that you actually are invited in to our DNA, to understand our DNA, how we actually would like to, why should you actually save energy on board? How can you do it? How have we prepared the vessel to save energy? And that journey, and what we see that a lot of the guests coming, they're choosing us because of the sustainable operations. They are very focused. They have a lot of questions when they are coming. And of course, we are not afraid to show them. And that is also a part of what giving back is, that why shouldn't you be allowed to see the vessel and see the inside of the vessel? This is kind of what is actually creating this. And I don't think that is that's not ordinary. When we are taking guests up to the bridge, the captain can explain for them what is happening, and other kinds of areas on board is also when it's possible, we are opening up and showing the guests this is actually the systems. So it's a kind of not kind of a school class, but
we have actually
yes.
we have talked about that in our first episode, and we will continue to bring that message out there, because I think that working with bringing cruise into a more sustainable era and future is really an amazing opportunity to bring people into a mindset transition experience, because you can use the cruise ship and the whole experience for the crew and the passengers to really experience this kind of floating testbed of journey into the future. If you do it right, that can truly enable people to bring back a new mindset, new perspectives, reconnect them closer with nature and local societies in a different way than, regardless where they come from, big cities around the world, if they live by the sea or not. And that really brings us over to my last question to you, that goes out to all of the talents out there, because Seatrade has a strong focus on what we call the tomorrow's talents today. And both of you have touched upon this. I mean, we all need great humans on board with us to build the future of cruise. And I wanted to hear slightly different perspectives with your personal hacks, advice to talents and other industry colleagues, or to share a specific mindset or skill set that you consider key for talents who are eager to join the cruise pioneer movement with us. And I wanted to split it a little bit differently with first the owner and founder's perspective from you, Njål, because we generally ask about advice and insight to general talents. But of course, for you, I would also love to hear your reflections and advice to established and next generation owners. How can the seniors make more room for the new generation of owners, and how can the next generation come in and build on the values and vision of the founder of the previous generation to create this changing environment, making it their own? And how can this also be something that truly can inspire the founders of today by sharing this mindset and long-term thinking from those that have built companies before them?
I think, first of all, it's important to give opportunities. That's even if it's, let's say, next generation, or if it's, let's say, someone coming into organization, that they need to be given opportunities. They need to, let's say, be given roles that give them a meaningful day at work. or to do and do every day. And I think it's always difficult working between generations. That some, or at least from my point of view, it's something that we used some time to find the roles between ourselves when I start working ashore. But I think that's possible as long as you have an open dialogue and also find the various way. You need to give trust, as I also mentioned earlier before. Give responsibility, throw people on deep water, because you learn it in two ways. You even manage to do what you were supposed to do, or you do a mistake, and that's fine. But then learn from the mistakes. So next time you are thrown into deep water in a similar perspective, you know exactly what to do, and that. So trust, opportunities. Give people big tasks. People grow to get larger tasks or larger things to do, or most of people do. Then it's also important to be open to take corrections. Or is it family-wise, or it's other places in the organization? Because you always have to learn things. You don't know anything. You still don't do when you are 55 or when you are 75. And also be eager to learn from everyone you meet. I think that's very important, and also from people doing totally different things from what you are doing. You always have something to learn, to put in perspective, as you can get into your system or your organization. And from my generation perspective, I think it's important to try to find out and get the input from the younger one of how they see things. What can you use of how they see things to do things different, do it better? Because I'm sure that all the things we are doing are not the right thing to do in a longer perspective. To get the input from someone that sees it on a totally different angle, that this thing you can do much better if you do it a little bit different. So I think that's a little bit short. And then in many ways, maybe we Norwegian have an advantage because we are used to a flat structure and titles and all these things is not that important, or at least in our group, it's not that important because it's more down to people, what you do, what knowledge you have, and what you can give the company as an employee, and how you can develop yourself and get new opportunities inside the group to develop yourself as a person. So that was a part of our culture, and I think that's very important, and I think that do us much better. And I also think it's always smart to have smarter people around you than you are yourself, because then you can just sit there at the top and take all the glance and order do all the smart things, which you get half the credit for.
That's fantastic. So that's why you have Bent.
Yeah.
And so to wrap up very in short words, Njål, is basically about growth mindset and reverse mentoring, really. And I think that's something that applies also very well for corporates and entrepreneurs among themselves to kind of have this reversed mentoring perspective as we go into collaboration partnerships. How about you, Bent, recruiting onwards? I mean, you guys need a lot of great talents in very many different roles. What are your 5 cents towards the talents and your potential future colleagues out there?
I think it's extremely important as a company to focus on diversity and young people coming out from schools, or what I say is that if you are curious, you will come a long way. And I learned from many years ago that because the old kind of traditional leadership was that you will try to create the young ones in your own picture. That look, that we have stopped with that. That's good. So everyone needs to be allowed to be themselves, because that is actually what we are investing in. Is the one, and the different persons, they have to be allowed to be themselves, and really grow themselves are growing, and then they're becoming a part of a kind of a company and a culture, and creating a culture. So for me, it's like we have today, 40% of all employees are female leaders, 50-50 in the management, 50-50 in the board of directors. We are focusing on growing kind of top management on board of vessels, more females, and the age is from 18 years old to yeah, actually the oldest one working on board, she is 76 years. And why should she stop working as long as she really would like to and are fit? So, but that's creating kind of this atmosphere from the youngest one to the oldest one, that they are sharing, they are learning of each other, but most of all, everyone is curious. What is next? How can we develop together? How can we actually create this as a fantastic working arena? And so it's not a very easy question you asked, Birgit, but I think curiosity is what is the drive, is what's driving each one of us.
And if it wasn't an easy question, at least it was a great answer, I say. And for those that are curious to learn more about the work in Havila Voyages, I know that we will see you, Bent, and a few of your colleagues from the company at Sea Trade in Miami, April. So we're really looking forward to that, and Bent will be part of one of the power couple panels in the Sustainability Theatre. So we are really looking forward to meeting live next time around. And I just wanted to thank you guys so much for joining as guests. You are among the first, and hopefully a growing movement of owners and top executives and founders that are joining forces to really show how amazing the cruise industry is to work with, and how much can be done when we start sharing more the pioneering initiatives, the first mover initiatives, inspiring our colleagues and competitors to also walk this same path with us. So thank you so much, Njål and Bent, and looking forward to all of you guys out there. Stay tuned.
Thank you.
Thank you.